What's going on, guys? The next natural process in all this is to finish the decking, and now we're going to use EVA foam for the top. And we're explaining to you why. We're going to have a pretty in-depth discussion about EVA foam and how to install it. We've got tutorials out there, so there's a lot of content, but we're just going to really talk about why we did it and how we did it for this boat. The benefits of it, why we've ultimately steered away from carpet and likely won't go back to it unless for like super rare circumstances. And this is not just for tiny boats, this is for bass boats, any sort of larger professional boat, what it would take to convert that if it did have carpets, and what is likely better for you as a result. Before we could put any decking, carpet, EVA foam, vinyl, anything, you have to finish the deck. We foamed it, it's all insulated, all the reserve flotation's in, all we have to do is just tie it up. Out of our sheet metal pack, we just use those same sheets of 090 thickness, which are the thickest sheets you will get in that pack. They match completely with the 090 lid track that the lids sit in. The lids are 1/8, but the track they sit in is 090, which is one size under 1/8. The rest of the sheets are 090 that will go and template out the deck. They are only 1.5 feet wide, but they are 4 foot long, and it will take multiple pieces to complete the deck, but the hatches themselves sit inside the deck. They take up a wide part of the deck already. So what you're really doing is just templating around those hatches to lay the pieces in, and then you're tying them together. Everywhere where the pieces of sheet metal need to butt up, you have a T-frame joint, like so. And then the sheet metal just lays right on here, and you rivet. Very copious amounts of rivets everywhere to make sure it's all complete. Now I wish I wouldn't have time-lapsed this, because the time-lapse it just sped right through it, but that's how we would do it. So how you would template these sheets around the hatches so you get like a perfect, butting in. You don't want large gaps between the hatches and the sheet metal for the decking. Whatever you put there will start sinking in those grooves. You got to template it out. So you could use cardboard, you could use construction paper, which is easier to use than cardboard. But what we have found to be the best, easiest, and most accurate template material is this stuff. This is Graphics Duralar, or they call it Mylar too, but it's crinkle free. You just trace with a marker. Lay this over, you can see right through it onto the hatch, so you can just trace the line of the hatch with a marker. Then you go in there, cut it out with some scissors, or however you need, because your cuts need to be accurate. Because however accurate your cuts are on the line is however accurate the template is. Then you just lay that, you lay your sheet metal pieces out there on the floor, just on the garage floor, anywhere, a flat surface. Put the template over, trace the template on all the sheets, and then cut out those pieces of the sheets. And then what you'll have out of multiple pieces is a perfectly formed deck. That'll, once you go to lay it on there, maybe slight deviations and adjustments here and there, but ultimately most of it should just fit perfectly on there. Then it's just a bunch of rivets, very, very copious amounts of rivets all over, all the way down the frames. You just know where your frame points are, tie the sheet metal right into the frames. It stiffens up the deck even more, stiffens up the frame even more when you do that, and it's ready to go. If you did want to use carpet on the deck, like you're just sold, you want 20-ounce snagless carpet, it's just what you want, you can get the hatches gapped for carpet, but I don't know why you would, and this is why. We have since deviated away from carpet because carpet really only has one strength over EVA foam, and that is that it's still technically the most durable out of everything. But it's got so many other flaws compared to EVA foam that one thing just doesn't really seem to do it for us. Carpet is prone to mildewing, molding, stinking. It retains heat, a lot of heat. So in the hot summer days, shoes, you have to wear shoes or you'll burn your feet. It's not the worst performing one. I would say marine vinyl is the absolute worst performing top deck. I'd rather spray vinyl liner all over my deck than use marine vinyl. They're both about as equally worthless on the top. They do literally nothing other than just like give you a cosmetic surface to be like, oh look, it's not bare aluminum. That's it. Carpet is definitely above those. It's definitely better than rubber matting. Rubber matting holds extreme amounts of heat, so unless you want to like burn right through your soles, I would not put rubber matting, not even UV inhibited rubber matting, on top of your deck. So it really is, to this point, either carpet or EVA foam. So why we have really kind of stuck with EVA foam is all the other benefits it has. It is not prone to mildewing or stinking or even retaining any sort of water. Just the way it's formulated stops it from having any of those problems. The heat dissipation factors of it are unmatched. Nothing beats it. And in fact, if you use EVA foam on the top of the deck and then underneath your hatches you put another piece of it to get double layer insulation, not only will your feet really appreciate it even more, but anything inside your hatches, your belongings, your tackle, they will appreciate that you did that, because those sun rays legit will cook and melt and do bad things to all your tackle if it has a chance. I live out here in the hottest region, It's arguably the hottest region in the whole country where I live. 120-degree days on average during the summer, all the way up to 130 on peak days, which I don't go out in. But for a good part of the year, it's toasty. It's over 100 degrees most of the year for like 7 or 8 months. And what has made that tolerable is EVA foam. Like this stuff could be pitch black, like pitch black, the color, and it would still be cooler than carpet. I could still, on fairly hot days, just, you know, be right on this with my bare feet, and it wouldn't matter. So there are 2 types of EVA foam that I have used. So obviously I have self-routed a lot of EVA foam kits, use the 2-tone non-routed stuff from Orthodec. I've even used some cheap stuff off Amazon, which I later regretted tremendously. So you get what you pay for. And then obviously I've used this stuff. The first time I ever used it was on the budget build. This stuff has been around forever. People have been using it. You know, HydroTurf initially was on jet skis. So you'll find most of the stuff in the boating industry is not original. We either rip it off of side-by-sides or we rip it off of jet skis. But most people really like this. It's extremely easy to install. It is very nice, has a great cosmetic look. It's durable. This stuff is the most durable stuff to date in terms of EVA foam. There are levels to durability with EVA foam. Obviously, you're maybe a little bit skeptical about it because it's foam. But this stuff, in terms of robustness and just overall durability to resist damage, this stuff is actually the best. The custom foam, though not near as durable as the cut groove HydroTurf, is still okay. You definitely have to watch it. I would say even though this stuff is a little bit more easier to damage, the Tik routed foam, it's still got all the good properties of EVA foam. Plus it looks really rad. So our company will actually do this for you. If you graphics Duralar, so if you want a whole deck that looks like this and you template it out with this stuff, like say you finish your whole deck, you template it out and you send us the sheets, we'll send you a deck. We'll send you test fit sheets of paper to go over it to make sure that it all fits before we go and get foam cut for you. But literally, if you just want a nice full custom deck with really high quality turf and routing job, it can be done. So if you want a custom turf job like that for 1/10 of the cost of what it would cost for us to do it for you, you can do it with Orthodec, which is 2-tone non-routed foam. But however much money you save, the time you will have to put into that is pretty significant. So it's either money or time. Or you could just go the most simplest route, which most people do, is use this stuff. Or they even use the thicker line teak foam. I found that stuff pretty hard to line up and get right, but you know, people still use it. It does look pretty good. But I was gonna say, if there was a winner between any sort of foam, like the line teak, the routed teak, or the cut groove just, it wins in all categories. Robustness, durability, aesthetics, and then what it really wins in is ease of installation. Because the grooves are so tight together, it is much easier to line an edge right on the edge of a hatch. As long as you line the turf straight on the first run, it is so easy to just cut down a cut groove of any piece, just right down the groove, and then place it anywhere along the deck. So you can place your initial sheet, then you can cut a piece of another sheet, place it down, fold it. You can cut sideways. I recommend if you're going to install it yourself, just use these. And you don't need a template. And then you would just fill for the groove of the hatches. Fill for it, get it right here. Just cut down the edge of the hatch. And then go ahead and cut it right here. Again, on this side, pull that strip right out. Then cut it flush on all the edge corners. On the front and rear deck, where it butts up to the wall, you want an overhang. I say 1 inch to 1.5 inch overhang, depending on what you're planning to do with that section, is pretty key. I would say definitely 1 inch is generally pretty good. You want that because the turf does not like to bend over, like so. And actually, if you do it, it does look kind of weird. And then there's also that if you hit it enough, it'll start to split, and then it will just look awful. So to avoid that, we leave a little overhang. But then you can catch your foot or your knee or your shin on the overhang. So we generally get door edge guard, and we just put it right there on the 090 overhang of the sheet. You can also get a piece of angle, like 1/16 angle, like 1 inch, and just butt that up. So if you already made your decks flush with the wall like this, you can just get a piece of angle to give you that overhang, and then just lay the foam right over it. And that's just as good. But you definitely want the overhang. The other thing with this stuff is you can bend it. If I take this and I cut this down each groove, each of these strips is thin enough that if it's cut here, I can bend it. It's quite easy to cut. I can bend this turf like so. And then if I cut this one, I can bend it right on top of that one and run it the same way, run it the same way. I can bend whole pieces to go down the side of a gunnel like a V-hull, you know, where it contours and does weird stuff, but you don't want to look this weird looking straight line because a straight line, how it is, it'll go, you just cut down the grooves and bend it. And it just looks like you did it that way. You can't tell that it's cut, not on the camo stuff. On the straight colored cut groove, like they have straight gray, they have straight black, straight tan. Yeah, you can tell. There's no color break like there is on the camo colors. But with this stuff, I could cut this stuff up into a bunch of pieces and then piece it back on the deck like a puzzle. And you could barely tell I did that if I butt them up close enough together. Versus the line teak or the non-routed stuff where if I cut this into a puzzle and try to re-put it on there, it would stick out like a sore thumb. So there's just levels to it. In terms of robustness and just overall durability, for people who are doing sportsman-like things on a boat and not just using a boat for leisure and recreation, cut groove camo in your choice color is the way to go. And there are quite a few colors. Check these out. And it's because that the cut groove camo is really the Tiny Boat Nation community's choice for boat decking across all platforms, no matter what kind of stuff you fish for or no matter what you do. Check out my boy Jordan here from Tightline TV. He just got his boat done at our shop in Illinois. We remade the hatches because if you're gonna do this, the hatches need to be closer together versus the initial hatches, which are gap for carpet. So if you just use the same hatches that were gap for carpet, there's this insanely gigantic gap and it becomes very annoying to not only step on, but stuff falls in it and it just looks bad. So we generally do new hatches, gap for foam, which is closer together for a nice, tighter, better looking fit that doesn't have all those problems. Then we scan the deck and then it comes out like this, perfect. And those are jobs for people who really want that done. And there's a lot of people out there who will go and get that done. And just want to let you know that we have some of the best people in the industry that will do it for you. Decking is always a very exciting part of the boat. You feel like you're almost done even though you're not. It's really nice to use our TBN original camo on that boat. We used it on the bow fishing rig. It looked phenomenal. And I cannot wait to use our TBN dark on the next build. Stay tuned for that, guys. I'll see you out there.